Hello, my name's Christian. I know God exists. I wouldn't say I'm a gravely intelligent person, yet there are some questions and things that I've put together that, in my opinion, dismiss evolution greatly. But I'm not a great scientist, so without some information off a great scientist, I can't exactly, say whether or not. But the one thing's for sure, I've just read an article on plants evolving, and somebody has gone from 4 billion years ago to how it started to now. I mean, where are the processes in the middle? Or then 4 million, 400 million years ago that are supposed to exist. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about members of the body. The reason this is because it's written in the Bible that the body is different members. And this led me onto thinking about the body and the different members. Like I say, I'm not a greatly intelligent person, but I've read upon the surface of things to know about stuff. So, for instance, the ear. The body's different members, and to me, it just seems ridiculous to think that the body could evolve over millions of years, like science has said, even from an ape, because an ape has still got arms. And it is saying we've come from lesser intelligence and we're evolving into something greater. But that's another story. What I'd like to submit today is that the body's different members, and it's not exactly like a leg was flapping about looking for an arm, is it? I mean, a foot attached to a leg, two legs enables somebody to run. Hang on, let's rewind a little bit. Let's go to the skin and the body. The body now, as a living morsel, is a body that's alive. As soon as it dies, it decomposes. And it decomposes rather quickly. So if the body was to evolve over millions of years, it must have been in some way living longer than it is now, because it would have been living. I mean, even if you was to state that the body only lives to say 80 years old, with life inside of it, so it's a living thing. Everything's working, the heart, the lungs, and everything. All the different members are working in tandem, and everything's good. So how does something over millions of years evolve a living creature? And it can't evolve a living creature if it's dead. So it can't die unless it was living. So it was an unliving creature before it moved and progressed onto a living creature. But then you think that the body is broken down into different segments. So you've got the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the nose. And for instance, the ears do a different function. So the ears must have evolved to hear sound. So if the ears evolved to hear sound, it must have known what the sound was. So skin or the molecules that form the ear heard something before it worked. Can you see I'm struggling? I'm struggling here to figure out how an ear could form to hear something it knew nothing about, because it hasn't even got a memory. Talking of memory, my brain did that form first. I'm struggling here. Let's go on to the mouth. The tongue helps us to talk, and it's stuck down my throat, down here, and my lips enable me to talk, and my teeth to eat. So what came first? The mouth to eat and digest the food, but then the brain would need to be there to think that I needed food. So if you think of the body as different members, it's really hard and difficult to think that one thing would go into another. and the time scale of a living thing. There's nothing on Earth that's millions of years old, is there? So the skin and the bones and the flesh and the blood, they must have all been in one. Everything must have formed together to work. And that somebody else must also think this, because they wrote in the Bible that God created us from the breath of his mouth. So somebody, when they wrote the Bible, actually thought, the same as I, it's impossible that the body formed different members could actually evolve in a long period of time. Because they said, because being the author of the Bible, the author wrote that his character, God, created the people of the earth out of the breath of his mouth in one go. So the whole of the body formed instantly, enabling us to function the way we do. Forming over millions of years, I really would like somebody to explain this to me, because I can't really figure out how the body evolved over millions of years. Firstly, you'd need something that was a million years old. The life would have to be in it before it started, to enable. As soon as you take the life out, to say you take the life out of me, I die, and my skin and everything becomes decomposed in a matter of weeks, not even depending on my age. So if it was even from a young child to an 80-year adult, doesn't matter which one, they decompose after that short period of death. So life, if it evolved, apparently evolved over millions of years. How can life evolve over millions of years if it's not really life? It can't be life if it's not life until it's formed. So that means the body would have to form for the life to enter it, for it to die over millions of years. And then, like, you could say this is a childish comment, really, but what came first, the baby or the adult, the male or the female? The Bible actually answers this, doesn't it? It says that God created us from the breath of his mouth or nostrils or whatever, and we were formed, which means then you talk about Adam and Eve, so there's the man and the woman, and it was the man and the woman, so there was no baby involved. But if you talk about on the lines of evolution, the first spawning of life, was it a baby with no intelligence? What was it? And what was it exactly? See, everything has got different members, and everything can hear, see, and smell. Everything has these different attributes. So, I mean, you can look deeper into this if you like and say, why does a smell like it does? But the nose evolved apparently to smell something it knew nothing about. Good job the nose landed there, really, isn't it? So it could smell our food. I just can't see if something. I wish somebody could help me, explain to me how the body. I'm a bit stupid, really. I think I must be a little bit stupid at times, because I can't, for the life of me, understand this. The Bible, to me, explains it better than evolution. And if there is somebody out there who can explain to me and tell me that God doesn't exist, and explain to me how something evolved without life, to have life in it, and to die with life gone, then even if you can't even go to the fundamentals of bacteria. You can't go to bacteria and microbes and atoms and things like that, because I know they're all part of us, but you can't explain how something would evolve into something. Firstly, it would need a purpose to evolve into that thing, wouldn't it? So it would have to know that there's smell. The nose would have to know that there's smell, surely. If not, what knew to make smells smellable? And the ears, I mean, sound waves going through the air and stuff. It doesn't necessarily dictate the shape or form an ear and a drum, does it? Because you need the drum to have the sounds, the sound waves. So the sound waves come before the drum. Anyway, this is it for this video. I think I just can't understand for the life of me how we evolved. I really don't. And as for the members of the body and all that, obviously somebody thought the same as me when they wrote the Bible. I'll say it because I've just thought of that thought. I think it's a passing thought in the past, but it's a thought that the author of the Bible wrote that God created us in an instant. So that was his analysm, if you like, his analysm of how life came about. So when he wrote the Bible, he must have thought about evolution possibly before it was even about. But he obviously sat and he must have, when he was writing the Bible, this storyteller, and he wrote the Bible, and he thought, right, I'll have God make us evolve, be there in an instant. I'm not saying he did, but he possibly would have thought it impossible to have evolved over millions of years. And he's one other person in life that has this same philosophy as I do, because I've been told it written in the Bible. I've read this and I've understood this, what he's written. I've understood the massive flaws in evolution. Like, I think possibly there is a head flapping about without eyes or ears or a mouth or maybe a skull was flapping about, knowing the eyeballs would fit in the sockets. But then it'd have to have the knowledge to see something. So the knowledge of sight came before the skull. See, Darwin speaks of evolutionary of the species, but why does he go from one thing to another? Why has he not gone back to the point before anything had life? But he hasn't, has he? This is why he says the evolution of the species, something goes with something else and it changes over time. But there's no solid concrete evidence there, is there? And at least I know I'm not on my own with the God creating everything at the same time. I mean, the author of the Bible must have thought this as well. So yeah, I absolutely don't think I absolutely can't see how we evolved. I think evolution is a load of rubbish, and God exists, regardless of how he exists or what he exists as or what have you. But the knowledge that I'm passing over to you here is that God exists, and it's impossible we evolved. Absolutely impossible in my mind.